Okay, good evening everyone. It's 6:02 tonight for the special meeting regarding the public hearing for the mayor's FY 2021 recommended budget. I'll call the meeting to order and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. At this time, I will ask the clerk to call the roll. Like I said, you'll have to unmute yourself, say who you are, what district you represent, and then you can mute yourself back. And Stacy, as soon as I can find the unmute where you are, I will unmute you. Okay, Stacy.
Okay, Councilman Donovan.
Councilman at Large Gary Donovan here.
Councilwoman Colleen O'Connor.
Councilwoman Colleen O'Connor at Large here.
Councilwoman Bridget Hosky.
Councilwoman Bridget Hosky, 1st District present.
Councilman William Conlon.
William X. Conlon, 2nd District, present.
Councilwoman Elizabeth Johnston.
Liz Johnston here, District 3.
Councilman Mitchell Galagnano.
Councilman Mitchell Galagnano, District 4 here.
Councilwoman Robin Hamilton.
Councilwoman Robin Hamilton, 5th District here.
Councilman Peter Massaro. He is actually here, we don't have his audio. Councilwoman Trenae McGee.
Councilwoman Trenae McGee, 7th District here.
Councilwoman Crystal Finelli.
Councilwoman Crystal Finelli, 8th District, present.
Councilman Robert Bruno.
He's muted. Yeah. Hold on.
All right.
Go ahead. Try again.
Robert Bruno, 9th District, here.
Councilman Barry Lee Cohen.
Councilperson Barry Lee Cohen, 10th District here.
And the Chairman, Ronald Quagliani.
Ronald Quagliani, Council at Large, and I am present. Thank you, Stacy, for calling the roll. Thank you all for being in virtual attendance this evening. Stacy, if I could ask you to please read the call of the special meeting.
Sure. West Haven City Council notice agenda of the special meeting of April 2nd, 2020. Notice. In accordance with the City Charter, Chapter 19, Section 4, the City Council of the City of West Haven will conduct a public hearing Thursday, April 2nd, 2020 at 6 p.m. via electronic means in accordance with our City Council Rule Number 30, at which time any elector or taxpayer may have the opportunity to be heard regarding appropriations for fiscal year July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021. Public participation. The City Council will conduct this public hearing via electronic means. The public must submit their comments to be read April 2nd via one of the following methods. Option 1. Submit comments in writing via U.S. mail. Comments should be sealed in a regular envelope with a complete return address with your full name and mailed to 355 Main Street, West Haven, Connecticut, 06516. Attention, West Haven City Council. Option number 2. Submit comments via email to mdemassa@westhaven-ct.gov. Please include in your email comments with your full name and mailing address. This meeting may be viewed live starting at 6 p.m. on the City of West Haven's YouTube page, which can be accessed via www.cityofwesthaven.com. Electors are also hereby notified of the right/power of the electorate in regards to a referendum in accordance with the City Charter, Chapter 18, Section 2.
Thank you, Stacy. At this time, I'll turn it over to Mayor Rossi for remarks.
Thank you, Chairman Quagliani. First, I want to thank everyone for their cooperation and support in working to limit the spread of the coronavirus COVID-19. I ask that all West Haven residents continue to follow the guidance from our national, state, and local health experts. Together, we will get through these very difficult and uncertain times. May God bless all those on the front lines, including medical professionals, first responders, and all our neighbors in essential roles. On behalf of the entire West Haven community, thank you. We owe you a tremendous debt of gratitude for your bravery and professionalism. The reason we are here this evening is the city budget. Thank you for allowing me to make brief remarks. As we stand here tonight, the City of West Haven is projecting its third straight budget with a positive year-end balance. I am happy to report that we also have a positive fund balance. The proposed budget continues to move the City of West Haven toward our long-term financial goals with less reliance on state restructuring grants. Spending increased by 1.4% over the current fiscal year, and state restructuring funds are reduced to $4 million. The budget also reflects efficiencies which reduce costs and improve service. Transitioning city employees' healthcare coverage to the state plan significantly reduces the cost of that coverage without sacrificing quality. Merging and modernizing the payroll and benefits process for the city and the Board of Education employees delivers far more reliable service to those employees at a lower cost to the city. Over the next year, there is no doubt that we will face additional challenges with budgets, education, and economic development as a result of the national health emergency we are experiencing. But please know that the City of West Haven will continue to provide essential services and community support. Thank you for allowing me to speak, and please be healthy and safe. Westie strong. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mayor, for your comments. At this time, I will turn it over to Finance Director Frank Jasplinsky regarding the budget and five-year plan for fiscal year July 1, 20 to June 30, 21. Frank?
Thank you, Chairman Quagliani. Good evening, council members, Mayor Rossi, and members of the public. Tonight, I will walk you through the fiscal year 21 operating budget and five-year capital plan. We'll go through some assumptions. I'll walk you through high-level department activities and present assumptions around the capital equipment. So for fiscal 21, we've held the tax collection rate at 98.4%. The grand list for the current or for the next year has actually increased by $35.99 million, up 1.3% from the prior year. The budget includes $4 million of MARB restructuring funds, and that is no change from fiscal 20. We have developed a 5-year detailed capital requirements plan with the department heads providing extreme detail to vehicles and equipment that needs to be replaced. This budget adheres to the financial recovery plan that has been submitted and approved by the Municipal Accountability Review Board, known as MARB. City funding to the Board of Education remains flat to last year. Increases in alliance funds are covering the remaining cost increases within the Education Department. And finally, all actuarially determined contributions, those are the contributions to the pension funds, are being funded at 100% of the actuaries' recommendations. On slide 3, you can see that we've held state resources flat in the budget. These are funds that come from the state of Connecticut. To be prudent, those revenues are held flat. We are expecting an increase to the educational cost share, and that is being absorbed directly by the Board of Education. As you see from year to year, the percent of revenues that are coming from local taxes are increasing from 57.9% to 58, or roughly 59%. That reflects reductions in other local areas, and we'll touch on that in a moment, as well as, again, flat funding from state grants as well as MARB revenues. On page 5, this is a year-over-year analysis of the revenues built into the plan. You can see that all of the revenue being generated is coming from the property tax line as outlined through the 5-year financial recovery plan. Other financing sources, you'll notice fiscal 21 versus fiscal 20 is down by $445,000. That is specifically related to the debt service paid by the city and refunded by the sewer fund. So the debt service has gone down, so that revenue coming from the sewer fund has also gone down. And a minor decrease to the MARB funding of $100,000. This is actually an interesting slide. It shows the mill rate over the past several years, 9 years to be exact. And what's telling about it is you could see the two large jumps in fiscal 13 and fiscal, looks like 18, from a flat mill rate to a higher rate. That is actually driven by a negative impact from the revaluations that happened in those years. So even though the mill rate increased 3.29 mils in that first jump, a full 2 mils is reflective of the impact just to remain stable from the lower grand list. The second jump, a much larger impact from the revaluation, the drop reflected in a needed 2.65 mil increase because of the drop in the grand list. Again, that would reflect no increase in overall taxation revenue, just an increase to the mills on a lower grand list base. What's interesting from this slide is that it shows that over 9 years, West Haven has only increased the mill rate 2.65 mils from fiscal 10 to fiscal 19. That is a large reason why the city had to bond in order to reduce most of its $17 million deficit. We look to the allocation of expenditures. You can see year over year, Board of Education remains stable at roughly 57% of the budget. And this number includes not only the operational funding from the city, but it also includes the Board of Education's share of the debt service payment being paid by the city. City debt is actually coming down, and that's representative of the decrease in the sewer fund debt. Public safety and public works are relatively flat. Public works we are increasing as we're adding additional individuals. Pension is flat or slightly down year over year, and that's extremely important. That is reflective of the city's movement to the state partnership plan for healthcare. Normally, we would expect healthcare to increase roughly 7 to 8% per year, and as you'll see in a later slide, because of that movement, the year-over-year increase will be flat. So that would represent roughly a savings of $1 million. On slide 8, this is the overall P&L, profit and loss from the city. You'll notice that there's a column there that's labeled FY20 restated. As you will recall, in the fiscal 20 budget, within the contingency and other area, there was a placeholder of negative $1.2 million, which were expected savings that the city would recognize through both healthcare as well as other utilities. The restated column takes that $1.2 million negative and applies it to the correct line so that when comparing fiscal 21 over fiscal '20, the numbers make much more sense. And we'll go into each one of these areas separately. Within the general government, the department expenditures will increase $371,000 over fiscal '20. The majority of that, you can see, corporate counsel will be going up $200,000. Part of that is a new deputy counsel being hired. Part of it is a new position for the risk manager, full-time risk manager, as recommended by the HR study that was done on behalf of the city. That position had previously been a combined position housed within finance. On the personnel department, that department is increasing by $68,000. That represents a new payroll benefits coordinator to interface with, as the mayor had explained, the company that we will be outsourcing payroll and human resources to. The current budget reflects reductions in finance and IT for individuals that had previously been responsible for payroll. The city clerk is showing an increase of $32,000. That is to reflect a correction to the budget for historically inaccurate budget in that particular department. That department has continually overrun its budget. This budget now brings it back in line to where it should be. And finally, in planning and development, increase of $87,000. It includes adding an additional building official to the building department. Within finance, an overall reduction of $122,000. As I mentioned before, we are removing a payroll position. We are also decreasing the amount that we held in contingency for consulting year over year. And part of that is offset by an increase of cost in financial services, particularly for the audit costs. Within central services, that is the one position that is being outsourced for the movement for payroll to an outsourcing company, as well as an addition of a technical support individual to aid with IT support on a daily basis. Within public service, we're increasing the budget year over year, $293,000. Within the emergency reporting system, that's the dispatch department, that increase is entirely related to maintenance costs for a contract that will now be needed for all of the radio and computer-aided dispatch systems. It's important to note that that particular department, the costs are shared between the fire departments of Allentown Fire as well as Center and West Shore Fire. The police department, we're increasing costs by $155,000. That's representative of an additional patrol officer as well as a much-needed telephone and software system upgrades. Within Public Works, engineering is going up $100,000 related to the MS4 mandate. The MS4 mandate is specifically related to sewers and the water flow within the systems. Central garage is coming down by $130,000 as overtime is expected to be reduced, as well as a reduction in fuel and supplies. That is unfortunately being offset by an increase within the solid waste, as we're seeing increases in our tipping fees for sanitation removal. Within the highway department, that number of $199,000 increase over the prior year is to reflect an increase in electricity costs, which were unrealistically low in the FY20 budget. resulting overall in a public works increase of $257,000. Within Health and Human Services, the increase of $17,000 to elderly service reflects an expected increase in the contract related specifically to elderly transportation. Within Parks and Recreation, $32,000 increase as we're expected to add additional instructors and aides, as well as have an increase to contractual services, resulting in an overall department increase of $55,000. Within Other, which captures employee benefits, debt service, and unallocated expenses. This slide, you'll see that I did not go back and restate the unallocated, so you'll see a very large jump from FY20 to FY21. As I mentioned earlier, in FY20, there was a $1.2 million negative placeholder for savings. Employee benefits, which includes the health insurance, those costs are flat to prior year. Pension contribution is slightly less than fiscal year 20, resulting from an actuarial estimate that was used in the prior year, as the actuary had not completed their analysis. Within debt service, we're seeing a reduction on the city side of $358,000, a reduction of overall sewer debt of $396,000, and an increase to the debt related to the Board of Education of $898,000, as this reflects the first anticipated bonding for the high school. And as I mentioned, item C there just reflects the $1.3 million of MARB-directed savings. Capital requirements. This year, we took a little different tack to prior years. We asked for detailed submissions to be requested from each department. And you'll see in the overall budget document, beginning on page 122, the detail and the thought that has been put into that. Every vehicle being replaced over the next 5 years has been identified by plate marker or VIN number. They have been spread out over 5 years. The police department will begin a structured policy of replacing 5 to 6 vehicles every year. Typically, those vehicles being replaced will then be repurposed to other departments such as the building department. By maintaining a structured replacement schedule, it means that the city side and the building department, etc., will not have to bond for additional vehicles, as hopefully those being passed to them are in better shape. Wherever possible, the grants department will investigate alternate sources of funding for these particular line items, which is why it was so crucial to have a detailed analysis. The city portion of the new high school, which should result in $32 million, is planned on being bonded over the next 3 years. All needed software upgrades for the infrastructure will be treated as operational expense and funded through the mill rate in capital non-recurring and are not reflected in this overall capital bonding plan. And expected bonding for the next 5 years: in fiscal 21, $16 million, fiscal 22, $15.9, fiscal 23, $13 million. Those are the 3 years that will include bonding for the high school. In fiscal 24, bonding should drop to $4 million, and in 25 should drop to $5 million. Just as a reminder, in fiscal 23, the debt service for the bonding around the police pension will stop, and that should show a significant decrease in the debt service beginning in 23. One thing I would like to note is that I did not include a slide for Allentown in this presentation, but the Allentown Fire Department mill rate will remain constant year over year. As you'll see on page 117 of the detailed budget book, there is a line item of expectation of $900,000. of funds that were obtained by Representative Damassa. On page 118, those funds have been identified and set aside for $250,000 for ongoing capital projects for the Allentown Fire Department, as well as a $650,000 contribution to the unfunded pension liability, which at the end of fiscal 19 is at 26% of total funds needed. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Frank, thank you very much. A lot of hard work and effort has gone into this between the mayor, you and your team, and we appreciate that very much. Just before we turn it over to public comment, that I'll ask Mike Damassa to read, just so everyone knows that the budget is on the city website. So if anybody would like to view the budget, just come to the city website and view the budget. Also, our rules that are updated for electronic meetings are on the city website. And this past week, the West Haven Voice also had that same information in it. So those without access to the internet still have the ability to do that. Also, our audit is posted on the city website as well, if people would like to take a look at that. So that being said, we'll get to item 7. The public hearing, and again, by our new rules, as Stacy read at the beginning, they would either be sent to us via mail or email, and I'll ask Mike Damassa to read the comments that we have received. Mike?
So item number 1 from Thomas Marr III. Since I retired 5 years ago, I frequently visit all 3 branches of the West Haven Library System. I review the newly released nonfiction books for something I haven't read before, but also take out some of the old classics that I haven't read since high school or college. I am a big fan of the West Haven Libraries and their staff. I wish libraries could return to normal operations before the current budget constraints. That is item number 1. Item number 2, dear Mayor Rossi and City Council members, I am taking this opportunity to address my concerns regarding the proposed budget amount for the public library fiscal year 2021. The proposed amount of $1,421,000 does not realistically reflect the costs of operating the libraries at current levels. Twice in recent past, there have been 4-year periods of flatline budgets. At the end of each, amounts were significantly reduced. The current proposal would represent an overall decrease in excess of $200,000. This trend goes against the ever-increasing operational expenses over the last 10 years. Continuing to reduce flatline budgetary allocations with every increasing operating expenses can only serve to force staff reductions from already minimum levels and a significant reduction of programs and services currently in place. I sincerely request that a revisit to this part of the proposed budget can be undertaken and a reasonable accommodation can be found to enhance and sustain our public library systems, and that would be Leonard Adams, Soundview Street.
Mike, try to talk a little louder.
Do you want me to put the mic? I have my laptop off. You want the mic on there?
Why don't you try it and then see what happens, if there's reverberation or not.
Ralph Lawson.
Can we lower that volume? Oh, then they won't hear it here?
Public can't hear it.
Oh. You want to switch seats, Mike?
Yeah.
Stand by.
Okay, Ralph Lawson III. Mr. Chairman and members of the City Council, having once sat in your chairs on the 3rd floor as a member of the City Council, I can appreciate the pressures that you will be receiving from members of the general public, various city boards and commissions and departments, and well-intended community support groups advocating for increases in various line items in the budget, and from other members of the public advocating for changes in other directions, reducing the funding of certain line items, and final mill rate. As a retired taxpayer, I urge you to resist all urgings and temptations to alter the proposed budget in either direction, and further urge your support of the mayor's budget as presented. I am certainly not happy with the prospect of paying what I guesstimate to be another $162 in city taxes alone, but I realize that the cost of everything nowadays is going up, and there isn't an awful lot that individuals or the mayor and council can do about it. In short, please hold the line and approve the budget and mill rate as proposed. Ralph Lawson III. To the City Council, from Michelle Gregorio, Fairview. Avenue. We are living in unprecedented times. Many of our neighbors and fellow citizens are living with fear that after this health crisis passes, they will not have jobs or businesses. Certainly, many citizens are feeling financial pressures as they get laid off, furloughed, or close their businesses. It is unconscionable to propose any tax increase this year. Spending has increased year to year under this administration. It is your duty and responsibility to make cuts to this budget. We are ill prepared as a city to take any more spending. If we had prepared, maybe we could have increased the tax rolls with businesses that would be ready to take on the high number of individuals that will be without jobs and need training. But the tax rolls haven't increased with my significant or meaningful businesses that well positioned to bear the weight of our citizens. I am asking for no mill increase and a reduction in spending. You need to be brave and bold during these hard times. I have faith that you will address this matter with diligence and respect for your fellow citizens. Dear Mayor Rossi and City Council members, thank you for this opportunity to address my concerns with the proposed.
Name and address.
This is John Galvin, 40 Crest Street, Unit 19. Thank you for the opportunity to address my concerns with the fiscal year 2021 budget. I am the Vice President of the Village Improvement Association. The VIA is an apolitical organization charged with city charter with operating the city's library system. By the same charter provisions mandates the city to fund the library. This language is specific and includes the library's subsidies, i.e. the branches. I believe the proposed budget of $1,421,000 does not meet the charter's requirement. Since fiscal year 14-15, our level of funding has gone down from $1,630,000. This is a reduction of 14%. During this time period, we have reduced services accordingly. We instituted deficiencies such as switching to the medical partnership plan in fiscal year 16-17. We have cut our hours of operation at the branches from 6 days a week to 4 days. Likewise, the main library has reduced hours during the week and is closed on Saturdays in the summer. The city budget funds expenses such as utilities, medical expenses, etc., separate from our department's request. For example, our medical expenses for fiscal year 19-20 is $240,000. Our utilities expense is more than $54,000. These expenses are not going away. They are included in our appropriation. This funding must not be eliminated. The citizens of the city deserve the best. The request will restore the best services possible. Thank you for your consideration. To my comments, John Gallup.
Just slow it down.
Mayor Rossi and legislators, this is Rachel Leaf, and we do not have an address. I am writing to request increased funding for the West Haven Library in the city's annual budget. I am the branch librarian at the Ora Mason Library in the West Shore neighborhood. It is my job to ensure that West Haven residents have the library they want and deserve. That includes access to books and movies, access to computers, the internet, printing, programs for adults and children, high-level resources, services to help our patrons meet their information needs, community use of meeting spaces, and much more. A couple of months ago, I would have written a letter that talked about how important all these services are to the community and how appropriate level of funding is crucial to our ability to provide them. But now we are facing something new, something we have never faced before. In light of the coronavirus pandemic and the unprecedented impact it might have on our community, the library has the capacity to be an integral part of the community's recovery. With the proper funding and resources, we can help patrons weather the storm. While no one knows what the aftermath of this pandemic will be, we anticipate that people will face high levels of unemployment. They will have questions about applying for benefits, finding resources for small businesses, searching for jobs, and improving their skills. Libraries have the knowledge, resources, passion to help all of this. Residents will have questions about where they can find reliable health information. They will want a place to bring their children for story time and craft so their lives can feel normal again. They will want a place where they can come together with their neighbors to discuss a book, hear a talk, or meet with city councilmen or fellow garden club members. They will want a friendly place to pick up a movie or a book. These are all things the library can and will provide in what the library does. I believe it is a mistake to underfund the West Haven Library at this time. This time, however, it would profoundly diminish the ability of our trusted resource to provide vital services and information, access to community facing the unknown. Please increase the city's funding to the West Haven Library. Rachel Leaf.
If you want to switch off, let me know. Okay?
This is Elaine Q, 58 Lincoln Street. Dear Mayor Rossi and council members, I am the newest member of the Village Improvement Association with less than a year on the library's board. My goal in joining the board was to find a way to give back to the local community where I have lived for most of my life. My first experience with the West Haven Library was probably in first grade, a visit that sparked a lifelong love of reading. My sister's best friend's mother was a librarian there. Miss Dexter was a wonderful role model and family friend for over the years. I was not expecting the library to operate on such a shoestring budget, with funding and finances being a constant concern. Public libraries provide invaluable benefits to the community, yet most residents take their local library for granted. In time of need, such as the unprecedented crisis we're currently experiencing, the library will be one of the first places that someone goes for information, resources, and guidance. The library and the dedicated staff and they provide a wide variety of programs that will help West Haven recover in the long months ahead. I respectfully ask the West Haven City Council to consider restoring the library budget to the funding levels in place several years ago, fiscal years 14-15. While the budget has been cut year after year, expenses continue to increase, resulting in reduction of hours and fewer resources to the community. I urge the City Council to reconsider the budget and invest in libraries so we can better serve the residents of West Haven. Next we have Michelle Bernardi, VIA Board Member and Trustee, Lake Street. Dear Mayor Rossi and Council members, I'd like to take the opportunity to address my concern about the proposed fiscal year 2021 budget. A $1,421,000 budget for the library does not adequately cover operating expenses and provide funding to ultimately meet the needs of the West Haven community. In fiscal year 14-15, funding was $1,630,000. That decreased every year since for a total reduction of 14%. This trend goes against the city charter provision to fund the library system. While the director and staff diligently and creatively cut costs to reduce inefficiencies, fixed costs continue to rise. Continuing to underfund the library puts services and programs vital to the community in jeopardy. The library has already had to limit the hours of operation at the branches from 6 days a week to 4. The main library reduced hours of operation during the week and is closed Saturdays during the summer. Inadequate funding will affect existing programs as well as prevent implementation of new programs and services. Use of funds from the endowment for capital improvements saved the city a tremendous amount of money over the last 5 years. Library patrons benefit from computers and technology available at the branches, in the teen space, and the Graham Room. Renovations in the Orr Mason brought it compliant and opened previously underutilized spaces up for a variety of programs and services. During this unprecedented time, with what the world is coping with, please reconsider reducing funding for the library system the citizens of West Haven depend on. I respectfully request not jeopardizing the availability of the places, people, and programs that provide a safe haven, a helping hand, and friendly, familiar faces to the people of West Haven. Thank you very much for your consideration. Next up, we have Patricia Donnelly, 392 Elm Street. Mayor Rossi and City Council members, thank you for this chance to address the Council regarding the proposed fiscal 2021 budget. I am a member of the Village Improvement Association, past president of the Friends of West Haven Library System, and a lifelong West Haven resident. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. That slogan, popularized by the United College Fund, is truer when applied to a library. It could be paraphrased as a library is a terrible thing to lose, and applied to our public library system, especially in these times. In reductions to our budget allotment continue, we are indeed in danger of losing our library. I will give you some examples of how I've used the library services over my lifetime and how these services have been affected by budget cuts. I've used the library research papers as a meeting place for support group to look for jobs, change careers, explore various industries, and even research the market for a small business, and of course take out books. But all the harder to do because of the cuts of the library's operating budget and resulting reduction in operating hours. I want to focus on one service that I feel is critical need now, the ability to access free computers and internet. During the recession of 2008-2011, I saw people lined up outside the library waiting for the library to open at 9 a.m. so they could get in on the computers to apply for a job, check their email. Today, people are in a similar situation and would lose this advantage of an early response because of budget cuts. The library doesn't open until 10 a.m. and closes at 6 most nights. This translates to 12 fewer hours in which to use the computers at the main library. Combined with the 28 fewer hours each branch, these cuts translate into 504 fewer computer hours in our system in a week. That's 504 fewer people who can use our computers per week. The library has seen its budget allotment decrease since 2015 from about $1.6 million to $1.5 million last year. At the time, the West Haven's population has grown 2,400 people. We are just meeting the bare state minimums for accreditation. We need to receive more funding at the very least to maintain last year's allotment so we can provide the services for West Haven's future deserves. Thank you for these considerations.
You sure you don't want a break?
It's up to you, Bob.
You want to get in? I'll read one. Okay, the next one is from Catherine Bushman, Associate Director, West Haven Public Library, 300 Elm Street. Dear Mayor Rossi and City Council members, I have worked at the West Haven Public Library since 2005 under 3 directors in various capacities. until reaching my current position as assistant director. I have also worked in the library field in other cities prior to West Haven, and can honestly say that the people of West Haven who make use of their library are indeed the friendliest I have ever worked with. As time and technology have progressed, I have observed the library staff working together to find answers to the many and various questions and expectations of the public. This is why we aim to be open as much as possible to be available for patrons. The idea of a community building filled with many things to meet the educational needs of everyone is a very American idea, not always found in other countries worldwide. Americans historically and currently very wisely value education and have worked to build a public library in each town to give people that chance to improve their lives. Please continue to support this endeavor. It has been a very good experience working with city council members who have reached out this year in a true effort to understand West Haven Public Library issues. I thank you for your continued efforts and look forward to continuing the conversation. Next is Carrie Bryant, Children's Library Associate, West Haven Public Library, Main Street, home address 14 Green Street, Milford. Dear Mayor Rossi and City Council members, my name is Carrie Bryant and I am the Children's Library Associate at the main library. I have worked at the library for 6.5 years. I am writing to you in regards to the public comment on the FY21 city budget hearing for the West Haven Public Library. The Children's Department staff, Graham Room, are a close-knit group and we consider our patrons family. Over the last 6.5 years, I have watched our young patrons grow. After getting to know these patrons for over 6 years, one cannot help but to consider them family. 6.5 years ago, I met 3-year-olds who attended weekly story times. They are now 4th graders who have become good readers who love attending library programs, meeting old friends, and making new ones. 6.5 years ago, I met 2nd graders who are now 8th grade library volunteers, helping out with our special program and serving as role models for our younger patrons. 6.5 years ago, I met 6th graders who are now high school seniors using our computers to complete assignments and college applications as we prepare for their future endeavors. The West Haven Public Library has been an invaluable resource for the local youth every step of the way, and it is crucial that we continue to be here for our patrons. It is only natural to want to provide one's family with the very best. We want to give our young patrons the very best, more books for our avid readers, more updated computers for our many students who need to complete homework assignments at the library because they cannot afford a computer at home, more funding for our programs and supplies so we can continue to offer these children fun, informative, and nurturing activities and programs. All of these elements are an investment in our young, safe place to go. The kids in this town are the future of this town. We will run the businesses, make the decisions, be the leaders, and pay the taxes. One day it will be our turn to sit back and we will hope that they make good, thoughtful, smart decisions with the community's well-being and growth in mind. The children of West Haven need every opportunity to make this possible. The West Haven Public Library can most definitely provide opportunities for our future generation to ensure a strong, nurturing, and forward-thinking community. After the pandemic is over, our country, cities, and towns will be putting the pieces back together. The library's family, our patrons, will need our support more than ever. The West Haven Public Library staff hope to provide that strong support and resources to the community and not let them down. Some of the support and resources needed will include a full staff to assist patrons' needs, full and expanded hours, updated computers and technical support, job search, employment resources and training, quality programming for children and adults, and the supplies that make that possible. The West Haven Library does not want to let their family down. I am asking the City of West Haven to not let their community down. Thank you for your consideration. And Michael, thank you for giving me the hardest one to read. I appreciate that.
Next is Aisha Banks, Branch Librarian. Dear West Haven City Council members, I hope this message finds you healthy and safe. As you can imagine, many of our West Haven Public Library patrons are likely experiencing unprecedented levels of stress, and having our doors closed to the public is making it even harder for many to get access to the information they need to handle the global outbreak of COVID-19. Our library is doing its best to reach those who can by using the power of the internet, but we anticipate that our skills will be in high demand once these once those who are able to assist in person come back into the community spaces. We are also keeping up with the librarians across the nation through webinars. I would like to remind you of how important the public library is to its community. The country has come together to stay connected, to stay healthy, and to stay safe. With so many families at home, we are at the front lines to continue to provide quality virtual programming, content creation, readers advisory, and access to staff through online chats, meetings. I need you to look beyond what you have to think of those who do not have. Those are the people who need us most. It's our job to share information to anyone seeking it. Many people have lost a job, will need to file taxes, or complete their 2020 U.S. censuses, and we must be and will be happy to help everyone get back on track, even you. Our public libraries are needed now more than ever. Please remember your support of the West Haven Library is also in support of those who need our help the most. Thank you for your time. And we have Kate Taylor Cordova, Main Street, 513 Main Street. Dear West Haven City Council, my name is Taylor Cordova and I am the Reference Associate at the West Haven Public Library. I am also a resident of West Haven, 511 Main Street. I am writing this letter to urge you against moving forward with the proposed cuts to the library's funding. A public library plays an integral role in the community, and West Haven is no exception. This is even more true now that we are facing COVID-19. This pandemic is affecting everyone in every aspect of our community, ranging from people losing their jobs and incomes to students having the quality of their education compromised. The West Haven's library's role in this pandemic is no different than what we do on an average day. We provide access to free and reliable information. We provide computers and internet connections so people can apply for jobs. We help people learn to use computers. We provide learning opportunities and resources for children of all ages, and we provide a safe place for people who have nowhere else to go. Right now, even though we cannot physically open our doors, we have not stopped providing for our community. We are finding and providing information online and making it available to everyone. We are creating tutorials on how to use library resources. We are even moving many of our story time and informational programs online, and we will be available through phone and chat to answer any questions. When this pandemic is finally over, we are still going to be an essential service. We are going to be here to help people begin their job search, to recreate their resume, and to catch up on schoolwork they missed, and provide referral services. Even though we are not physically in the library right now, we have not stopped providing this for our community. Again, I urge you against cutting the library's funding so we are able to continue providing as much aid as we can possibly to our community in both good and bad times. Thank you for your consideration.
Comments? No, I'll take that. Okay, the next one is from Colleen Bailey, 300 Elm Street. Mayor, City Council, and West Haven residents, my name is Colleen Bailey, and I'm the Executive Director of the West Haven Library. First, I want to commend all of you for keeping the business of the city running as best you can in these unprecedented times and circumstances. It can't be easy. I'm writing today to address the library budget. I understand that you are facing difficult economic issues and have to make some difficult decisions, but the library should be looked at as a resource and not a burden. When we open back up to the public, we are facing the highest unemployment the state has seen. Kids still won't be back at school, and people are going to be looking for a place to turn to for information. As we always have, the library will be there to assist everyone with how to file for unemployment, how to file for taxes, how to fill out their census information, and a safe space for all. While we have been closed to the public, staff have continued to serve patrons as best we can with alleviating fines, adding to our digital collections, virtual story times and programs, virtual technology help, and digital library cards. We have increased our digital resources, which have seen a spike in use since our closure. With the budget proposed, the library will be opening less hours, not more. In the climate we will be opening back to, we should be open more hours, not less. We need to be doing programs on filing for unemployment, housing assistance, Social Security, and Medicare. The library needs to be open increased hours to do this. In times of economic turmoil, more people will turn to their local library than to any other institution. For many, the library is their only social interaction. I worry about all of our regular patrons who currently have nowhere to go. The library should and will be an anchor institution that people will turn to in distressing times, as a resource, as an educational center, and as a safe place. Thank you and be well. Colleen Bailey. Next is from Cruz Herrera Golding. I don't see an address, but is a West Haven resident. Hi, I'm a resident of West Haven. I have school-age children who benefit from the services that the West Haven Public Library provides on a weekly basis. Like other parents in this town, I depend on the West Haven Public Library as a safe and enriching place for my family to go outside of school. We visit the library 3 times a week and looking forward to going every time. Please consider this when you are planning your budget. Thank you, Cruz Herrera Golding.
This is from Charlene Kellenbach, no address, to City Council of West Haven and the Mayor. I'm writing this letter urging you to seriously reconsider any reduction in the budget for the West Haven Library for next year. Although I understand these are difficult times financially for the city, these budget reductions would come at a time when patron demand for library services is increasing. More citizens than ever are turning to the libraries for service and support. Whether it's for kids learning to read or adults seeking reference help they cannot access otherwise. Once the COVID-19 crisis lessens and the West Haven Library reopens to the public, the city will need the library services more than ever. I know West Haven city leaders will be reading each of these letters, and as you do so, I implore you not to view libraries as a luxury in this day and age. They are in fact a lifeline for many people, especially the most financially vulnerable. I see the truth of this every day. I work in a position as a library assistant at the West Haven Library. Every child and adult in the city deserves the chance to expand his or her horizons with the library's help. A reduction in the budget would force the library to lessen programming for both children and adults and possibly reduce hours, which would have a detrimental impact on the community. Thank you for your time. And this is from Amanda Welsh, Children's Librarian, West Haven. Hello, my name is Amanda Welsh, and I am one of the children's librarians at the West Haven Public Library. I am writing as budget season approaches to let you know of some of the wonderful things that happen in our community library on a daily basis. On any given day you walk into the department, you might find an immigrant mother with a language barrier signing her children up for free educational programs. A group of adults with intellectual disabilities and their caretakers hanging out, reading and enjoying a comforting and welcoming environment. A grandmother picking up a copy of a book for her granddaughter is reading for free so they can discuss it together. A group of teenagers finding a safe space to hang out during a freezing day without the expectation of spending any money. A group of mothers meeting and finding some time for adult conversation and community support while their kids have a place to play, learn, and grow. A family that needs a DCF visit being able to relax in a free, comfortable space and spend time with their children. Teens volunteering their time to read and play games with younger members of the community. These are just a few of the wonderful small moments that happen at the library just in the children's department nearly every day. I may not be a West Haven resident, but I can say I love this community, take a part of my own family. I work every day to make sure the library is a place that this community can take pride in. I hope that you and your fellow council members will also take this into consideration as you proceed with the difficult decision of the town budget. The people of West Haven deserve to feel pride in their community and their town library. Your support can help us bring programming, a more welcoming environment, and better access to resources for everyone in West Haven. I am sure that in the months following this unprecedented moment in history, providing accurate resources to all individuals regardless of the income status and having a space of community support will be more necessary than ever. I hope everyone is well during these stressful times, and thank you for taking the time to read this letter. This is from
It's from Carrie Bernard. I'm writing to you to express just how vital our public libraries are. I'm a stay-at-home mom of 2. Both of my children need speech and other services. The library has played such a huge role in educating, socializing, enriching our sons' lives. The librarians know all of the children's names and are so great with the children. They offer so many learning activities for the children. Our family, like many in town, depend on them. Even during social distancing, they have provided story time remotely. Thank you for your time. Carrie Bernard.
And Mr. Chairman, we have 2 other letters here. One is from Maria Zavros, and the other is from Angela. They are multiple pages, so I don't know if you want to take one off again.
So Michael, this one you probably should summarize if you can.
Yep.
And then all of these comments will be included with the record. Again, we had asked that comments have to be limited to one page, just for the sake of being here tonight. We will read these two into the record. May summarize some of it. So the first one is from Maria Zervos, head of Children's Teen Librarian, West Haven Library. To the Mayor and City Council, I'm writing to you today in support of maintaining the city funding level of the West Haven Library for FY21. I am the head of Children's Teen Librarian at the main library. Previously, I was a manager of the Orem Mason branch. I've worked at the library for 3 years and have had the privilege of getting to know and serve many wonderful people. I know that community is very important to Westies. For many residents, the library is a community center and provides much more than books, computers, or even internet access. The library serves as a physical hub for communicating with others, whether in the form of meetings, educational or entertainment programs, group study space, or simply being out among your fellow citizens. In order to fulfill this function, the library has to be open and accessible to the community when they need us. Of course, the library doesn't just serve adults. The children and teens of West Haven consider the library a fun and safe place to be in. In the Graham Room, the children's and teen space, we welcome everyone and do our best to meet the needs of children and their families. Those needs include play space, story times, fun educational programming, books, movies, computer, and internet access. When students need to complete homework assignments, they come to us. When parents need to find books for reading, they come to us. When teens need a safe place to go after school, they come to us. When community organizations need a welcoming place to meet with clients and families, they come to us. We work with everyone, students, families, teachers, community organizations. The library is the intersection point for so many aspects of community life. We need to be there for the West Haven community. They deserve and depend on the library. During the COVID-19 coronavirus crisis, the library had to do the one thing that goes against our very identity. We needed to close to the public to help prevent the spread of the virus. Yet even when closed, the library continues to offer digital resources to West Haven residents. I respectfully request that the City Council fund the West Haven Library at the FY20 level. Thank you. Sincerely, Maria Zervos, again, head Children's Teen Librarian, West Haven Library.
And this is Angela Invernal on Center Street. Good afternoon. I hope this letter finds you well in the midst of the craziest we're all experiencing right now. I am writing to you with the hope that now more than ever you can see that the West Haven Library is an invaluable resource to our town. It pains me to think of all the patrons we are unable to serve in these uncertain times. As I hope you are aware, the library often serves as a daytime shelter for those in our community who are homeless or have nowhere safe to go during the course of the day. This may not seem like much to you, but it makes a world of difference to those patrons. Imagine for a moment, difficult as it may be, that you were in their shoes. We take for granted the fact that we have something safe to go during the day. We don't need to worry about staying warm in the freezing New England winters or staying cool in the 90-degree summer days. We aren't at risk of getting in trouble as we wander the streets all day. We have the luxury of complaining about our jobs and the lack of free time. For many people, our library is the only place they can go without the expectation of having to pay. It can sometimes be the only place they can go where they are treated exactly the same as the person in the business suit right next to them. It is the only place that provides them with the resources they need to find proper housing or look for jobs in the area. Many are disabled. Many are looking for help with substance abuse. Cutting the library's budget means that these underserved members of our community have even less of a chance of bettering themselves and getting themselves out of the incredibly difficult situation. Helping the homeless community is merely one of the small aspects of how our library helps people. The reference department sees dozens of people a day, all needing our computers and internet access for a variety of reasons. Many are looking for jobs. The library is often their only lifeline when it comes to how and where to apply. I would think the City Council would want West Haven residents to better themselves in their community by being productive members of our society. What sense does it make to cut the already limited resources that they have? Compared to the great things that I've mentioned, simple entertainment may not seem like one of the most important things the library provides. However, if you have ever been in the position where you generally can't afford things like internet access, Netflix, new books, or cable, then you can understand what a relief our library brings to families through entertainment alone. Many of our patrons rely on these avenues of entertainment for their children as well as themselves. Some children never get to play Roblox on the computer to see the latest Disney movies without the library. We lend out internet hotspots so people can have internet access in their own homes as well. Those of us with the means take these simple pleasures for granted because we have unlimited access to them daily. We are currently being asked to social distance and remain at home unless absolutely necessary. Can you imagine being a family of 4 cooped up at home without the simple relief of turning on a TV show or watching YouTube? Now that the library must be closed, I feel those families who rely on us for DVDs or books or hotspots because I know how important these seemingly trivial things are to them. We provide much more than just materials to families too. A great deal of patrons count in the children's department to have educational and fun programs for children of all ages. Young people come with their parents to laugh and learn during our story times and head up to the Graham Room for quality time as well as playtime. Kids and tweens get the opportunity to use our create space to use their imagination. These kids have access to some things that would never get anywhere else, such as the use of 3D printer. I cannot stress this enough. The library doubles as a teen center. If we had more money, I would have a dedicated teen space with TVs and video games. To preface, Mr. Chairman, our staff spans Stray and Gold on a regular basis. We have some of the most dedicated librarians, part-time staff, and even the custodians take pride in our library in a way that I really wish City Council would. I wish you could see the difference we make in people's lives. We do so much and so little. Please use the power that you have to help continue to help people of our town. Thank you for your time. And that was as of 5 o'clock, Mr. Chairman. Those were all the communications.
Thank you, Michael, for reading those into the record. As I had mentioned, the comments, the public comments that were submitted will be included with the meeting record of this evening. That concludes the public hearing portion of the agenda for this evening. Future planning, the finance chair, Chairwoman Hosky, is working with the clerk to establish meeting dates for finance committee hearings with the various departments. An email has went out to the council regarding the departments that they would like to see virtually in front of us. And again, that schedule should be coming out shortly. The only thing I want to comment before we adjourn is want to follow what the mayor said. We're here tonight to discuss the budget, and we all recognize that there are many, many more pressing issues that are impacting all of us right now. Life has radically changed since the last time we as a council were in this chamber together. So we will work on the budget as our obligation is to the taxpayers of the city. But in the meantime, or during that time, I ask all of us, the council members, the residents, to make sure that we take care of ourselves, make sure that we take care of our families, our neighbors, check in on our elderly. And I just want to give a special thank you to everybody that's keeping the community running and the state running. So it's our first responders, yes, it's our healthcare workers, but it's also the person at the grocery store or the public works individual that's still out in here. So a special thanks to all of our city workers and all of the private workers that are working, putting themselves in harm's way for us. And please, if I could say anything, follow the guidance. Follow the guidance so we can get back to a level of normalcy. That being said, if someone would like to unmute their mic and have a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Councilman Conlon and seconded by Councilman Bruno. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you very much. Be well, and we will see each other soon. Good night.
Night all.